Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Awesome Admins, for joining us for today's webinar on Lightning for you, our Salesforce Admins. My name is Leanne Templeman. I'm an admin evangelist here at Salesforce, which means I get to spend my time working with our admin community and product teams, working on amazing tools and features for admins. And I'm super excited to be joined by one of my favorite people, an original advocate for admins, our Vice President of Product, Shawna Wolverton.
Hi, Leanne.
So excited to have you here today, Shawna.
I'm excited to be here.
So we will definitely be talking about exciting roadmap functionality in this webinar. So we ask that you make all purchasing decisions regarding Salesforce based on functionality available today and not on any forward-looking statements we make about future releases. And while we love sharing our excitement about Salesforce with you, our admin community, we also want to hear from you. Find us on Twitter at AwesomeAdmin. Remember, there is no I in admin. Also, when you're sharing your stories, questions, or anything admin, use the hashtag AwesomeAdmin to connect with the community. Like us on Facebook at Salesforce Admins to see all our updates about webinars, blog posts, and podcasts. And check out our recordings, including webinars like this one at Salesforce Admins. This webinar is definitely being recorded, and it will be posted at that registration page where you signed up, as well as our YouTube channel. Questions will come up throughout the course of the webinar, and we want to hear them. So we have team members on hand on our chatter group, or Salesforce Success group, Salesforce Admins webinars to answer those questions. And at the end of the webinar, Shawna and I will be taking some questions as well. So please don't wait till the end. Go to the Success community group, ask those questions. We'll have product experts and awesome admin team members available to answer your questions throughout the course of the webinar and after the webinar. If we don't get to your question in the next 30 minutes, don't worry, we'll be reviewing questions and continuing to answer them after the webinar. So today we are talking about Lightning. We're super excited, as I said, to have Shawna here to talk to us about Lightning overview and roadmaps so we can understand more about Lightning and what's coming in the future. I'm excited to share some of my favorite features that made me a Lightning admin. We're going to talk about how you can become Lightning admins and implement them at your own organization, as well as following up with resources and, of course, the most fun Q&A.
Awesome.
So Shawna, we love hearing about the origin of product at Salesforce and where these ideas come from. And we'd love to hear about the origin of Lightning and what's in the future.
Excellent. So, Lightning is new to, I think, a lot of our customers, but it's not new to us at Salesforce. It's been years in the making. So, we 2 years ago really thought about Lightning in terms of our mobile product, but that wasn't even new either, right? It's really about the hundreds of thousands of customers and the hundreds of thousands, millions of idea exchange ideas that really are the origin of everything we've done in Lightning. We knew we needed a new user interface. The one we had was great, but we wanted to really unlock so much more power for our users for customizing the user interface. And as we thought about bringing all of those features over, we were so informed by the idea exchange. And we wanted to make sure that as we moved the user interface forward, we weren't just lifting and replacing, right? We were really making things better. And the core value we had was productivity. So we really wanted to move those features and reimagine how we could make Salesforce a more productive place, not just for our end users who are sales and service people, but for our admins as well. And like I said, we really started with mobile, right? We did all of this work almost 3 years ago now to componentize our user interface. And that is really the great thing about Lightning, is these components that are reusable across the platform. And we did that first on the phone, and then we had to do a whole bunch of super nerdy work in the background that no one, unfortunately, saw to really beef up all of those APIs so that more and more people could build killer apps on our platform. All of the functionality that we use to build apps, we wanted to make sure we gave to our customers. And we had to start somewhere, so we started with sales, and we built this killer new app experience in Lightning for the desktop. We are a year in to that experience today, and I'm super proud of how far we've gotten, but we know we have some more to do there. But I've been in product management on our platform for 10 years at Salesforce, and this is the holy grail, right? This idea that admins can use clicks to build the kinds of experiences that previously were only available to developers, right, in Visualforce. You could see these amazing Visualforce pages, but you had to phone a friend, right? You had to find someone who could help you build those pages. And today, that amazing, beautiful, fully customized experience is available to everyone. And there's still some great component ideas. We're going to give you some components that Salesforce built. Maybe you can still phone a friend to build some really cool custom ones. But the great thing here is we already have hundreds of components on the App Exchange for components. So if there's a component you need, there's a really good chance that someone's built it already. And like I said, we're just getting started, right? I think this isn't even the end of the beginning. We have so much work to do. But the winter release that's coming unlocks so much for our customers and really gives admins a whole new way to think about whether or not they're ready to migrate. So we're bringing back inline editing on lists.
Yay!
This is a huge request. And mass actions, this is a hugely powerful feature for end users to be very productive. So those are coming back to list views, and then soon those are coming back to related lists as well. You'll see an entirely new enhanced Lightning navigation. We realized when we came out with the left-hand navigation that it was a great navigation model for a sales app. But as we started bringing more and more of the platform into this, we needed that kind of app functionality. So you'll see that coming. And then Kanban here, quotes and contracts are coming. Some really great duplicate management around lead conversion. We're going to be proactive instead of reactive there. And Chatter is a whole new experience in Lightning. And like I said, we're not done. Favorites are coming to navigation, products and price books, forecasting, so much reports and dashboards awesomeness. I think you're going to show us a little bit of that later, aren't you? Awesome. And that great Kanban board view of dragging and dropping on that chart is coming too. So that's what's coming. We have so much ahead of us, but Leanne, do you want to show us some of your favorite features today?
Definitely. And I'm very excited about the roadmap for Lightning. I've gotten really excited about Lightning, especially over the last year as an admin myself. And looking at what's coming in the roadmap makes me even more excited to build in Lightning and some of those features that I do love in Classic that are coming, as well as lots of brand new only in Lightning features. Because I build a lot of apps. I like to app all the things, as we joke.
App all the things.
App all the things. So I build a lot of apps internally at Salesforce and for my team, my awesome admin team. And there's a few features that really helped me convert to being a Lightning admin. There's a few key features that when I was building apps for our Dreamforce session submission process for the admin track, that helped me convert and to really love Lightning and use it to my advantage to be an efficient admin. Because like many of us, being an admin and building apps is not my entire job. So I need to be fast and efficient with it. So one of my favorites is Lightning Setup and Setup Search, because almost everything I build is custom. My team does not really work in opportunities and leads. So everything I'm building is custom objects, custom apps, custom fields, and being able to navigate quickly between, say, a bunch of different fields and profiles and permission sets that I've created for my team using Setup Search has been a huge time saver. So I can search one term in the same UI that I would have previously searched for, like leads or contacts, for example, and I can find the results for everything from, as I said, users, profiles, permission sets, objects, as well as when they were last edited, who modified them, where they live. So that's been really useful for me. Also, just the overall Lightning setup experience, I feel like it's really clean, and I like working in the object manager because, as I said, everything I build is pretty much custom. So being able to navigate around in the object manager instead of the classic setup tree is a big win for me. As I mentioned, I'm in love with Lightning reports and dashboards, and they have been really beautiful and visually engaging since we launched Lightning a year ago. But in the last couple of releases, they've really increased a lot in functionality, and the roadmap is super exciting for reports and dashboards. So I would encourage you, if maybe you looked at reports and dashboards a year ago in Lightning and they weren't exactly what you needed, to get back in a Winter 17 org when they come out in the next couple of weeks and play with Lightning reports and dashboards, because I can drill into my report charts, I can have collaboration on dashboards, I can engage with my end users, my awesome admin team, using those reports and dashboards. And I even have made my Lightning Report viewer a workspace. So I'll show you how I do that, but it really is where I'm working around all my sessions, and I'm looking at different buckets of sessions. And the future release, as Shawna mentioned, has a lot of really exciting stuff coming for reports and dashboards. Dynamic dashboards is one of my favorite elements of Classics. I'm really excited to see that on the roadmap for Lightning dashboards, as well as the ability to schedule, of course. We all love putting pictures in our dashboards, so I can't wait for table images and more chart colors. And notifications are a cool feature that's coming that we didn't have in Classics. I'm excited about that. So anything else? Did I miss anything? Is there any other insider tips on what's coming in reports and dashboards?
Hierarchy view is coming.
Oh, that's going to be cool.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So this has really helped me bring those apps to my users and bring them the visual representation. And of course, App Builder. We love building app pages, so I'm using App Builder to build entirely new Lightning app pages. For my team, on my awesome admin team, I love building custom homepage because, as I said, we don't work in opportunities. My team is not working with leads or opportunities or sales. And so in order to make our custom session submission app make sense for my team, I wanted to build them a custom homepage that had the information they needed when they logged in. So that was really fun to do with App Builder. And I also can do that everywhere in Lightning. I can build and modify any page. So I can change the look and feel of my chatter groups page. I can change what profiles look like. I can change what our custom object pages look like. I can make those modifications. And as Shawna said, I don't have to phone a friend. So I do happen to know a handful of really good Salesforce developers, and they used to get a lot of emails from me asking for cool visual force pages because it was so much faster for them to write it than it would have been for me to write it. And now I don't even have to ask for it. I can just bring a component on and change the look and feel of the page all on my own. So I want to show you actually what elements of my app will look like that have been so fun. So here is my Salesforce Admin Track app, and before we get started, this is all dummy data, so if you did submit for our Admin Track session and you're looking for your session title, I promise you won't find it in here, but this is what our app looked like. So I wanted to make a really fun homepage for my admin team, and so we are very positive and we love seeing fun pictures and updates here, but I also need some key information like all of our approved sessions and a quick filter list there. I like to see login history and who's been active in the org recently, and of course recent records. So this is really what's most relevant for my users, and so that's how I use the App Builder to modify the homepage and make it not a sales homepage, make it an app homepage for them. And we can see this lives in our Admin Track app. So I actually built an entire app called Admin Track, and I was able to customize my logo and change my colors here to really brand it for my awesome admin team. Now, I did mention setup search, so I want to show you what that looks like. So if I go to setup, which is where I spend, of course, a lot of time as an admin, and when I'm in setup, I can see my recent items. Of course, I can see that nice, clean Lightning setup home. But let's say I'm looking for a field that I created, and I typed score. So we were using this to collect feedback and to track feedback. So score is something that recurs a lot throughout my Admin Track app. And I have the option to search in Salesforce or to search in setup. So when I click search in setup, I'm going to see my results in that search result page that we're used to seeing in Lightning, but it's all metadata. It's all things that I'm touching as an admin. So it's really relevant to me. So I can see profiles, if they were modified recently and by whom, fields, and if I scroll down on the left here, the types of data that I can search or metadata I can search, everything from compact layouts, if I'm building duplicate rules or email alerts or email templates. And so this is, I can't overstate it. This is such a time saver for me when I'm looking for maybe a field that exists somewhere, or I want to make sure if I built duplicate fields in different areas and I'm using global pick lists or something and I want to find that field everywhere.
It's one of those hidden features. I don't think we made a big enough deal about this because it is hugely powerful for admins.
Right, and it's so much fun to use because I can just find it right away. I mean, I love it, and we don't show it enough, and we should talk about it more. So I also love dashboards. And I built a what I think is very pretty admin track dashboard to provide information, real-time information on all of our submissions. So we have details around total submission numbers. We've got details around different types of submissions. And what's nice here is I can resize the component. So one of my favorite things is we all know when we have different types of charts and we're building these dashboards, something like a number count or a little gauge component doesn't really need a huge amount of real estate, whereas a much more complex chart like submissions by session, subject, and audience does require a lot more complexity and a lot more space. And so I love that I was able to do that. And I also mentioned that I use the report viewer as a workspace as well. So if I go into actual report here, I can see my report chart as well as the details below. But if I start to make some changes to that report chart, this is the Lightning Report Viewer we're looking at now. So I'm looking at my report called Working Session Report in the Lightning Report Viewer, and I do this a lot. I say, I wonder how many process automation intermediate submissions there, and I can click on that and it'll automatically filter those results there. So you imagine if this wasn't a demo and I wasn't showing, cleaned up data and I actually had like all of my titles and all the detailed information I wanted to view, this really becomes my workspace. So we're having meaningful conversations around the content, around our data, and I can click through and I can update that as I go through and have a lot more insight into that without ever leaving this page. I mean, previously in classic reports, I would have been changing the filters and rerunning the report.
Absolutely.
I would have had 4 versions of the same report with different filters.
I love that the filters are right here on the page.
I love it.
So easy to use.
Yeah, I can see my filters. If I wanted to change filters, right, I could change those here as well. So this is a huge win for me, and it really made it easy for me to work within the app and never have to leave my one screen of my Lightning Report viewer. So I'm sure everyone's now wondering, how do I get to Lightning, right? How do you become a Lightning admin? How do you start to become a Lightning admin, build Lightning apps for your company? And the number one first place to go is Salesforce Trailhead. We can't say that enough times because there's trails on Trailhead that will give you insight into just the Lightning UI and what it looks and feels like. There's trails around the best path to take to develop a enrollment or a rollout plan for Lightning. So how do you develop that implementation plan? How do you talk to your users about it? How do you determine what users are a good fit for Lightning? There's also end user training. So, I mean, I wish we had this when I was an admin. You can actually send your end users to get comfortable with the Lightning UI to Trailhead. So when you are rolling out Lightning, you can send your users there, your end users there, to get up to speed on Lightning reports and dashboards. And if you can't remember all of the trails that we're mentioning right now, that's okay because they're all in the Migration Assistant. So we'll show you where that is in just a minute. But all of the details and the links are all in the Migration Assistant, as well as some really cool tools like being able to preview and also get a Lightning Experience Readiness Check. So the Lightning Experience Readiness Check looks at how you are uniquely using Salesforce and maybe what core features you're using, if you're using products and price books or campaigns, or if you live in opportunities and accounts. It looks at how you're using Salesforce and evaluates it against the functionality built on Lightning and whether or not Lightning is a good fit for you. And so I'll show you where to find that as well. And then definitely planning your user rollout, right? So thinking about what are your users, for those of you who maybe have built apps in Sandbox before and delivered changes to users, what are those users that are your power users that you get great feedback from, and planning that rollout. And you can do that all in the Migration Assistant.
All in the Migration Assistant. And this is true. We learned so much over the years at Salesforce about the need for control on how you roll out big change in an organization. So from day one, you've been able to select individual users or profiles using permission sets to roll out Lightning to small groups of power users. And we're going to continue to make that easier and easier.
And most importantly, for your users, if you turn it on, they can always
switch back.
Always switch back and forth. So this is very non-scary to turn it on, because if you turn it on and you want to play with Lightning, it is definitely, the road goes both ways. You definitely can just switch your profile view back to Classic.
Absolutely.
And view it in the Classic that you are used to and comfortable with. So
change is hard.
Change is hard, and this is a very, it's a very non-threatening button to push because you can always go back. But I would encourage you to turn it on yourself or to at least use the preview. And I'll show you where to find that preview right now. So we are here back in our demo org, but we're viewing this as maybe our classic admin. And so we're in Classic Setup right now, and in the left panel of Classic Setup, you can find a Lightning Experience button. And this is, when we talk about that Lightning Experience Migration Assistant, this is where that lives. And all of those resources that we've been mentioning, they're all here. So if you've been frantically trying to type out, the trail and the trails we're mentioning, they're all here. So the trail to learn about migrating to Lightning Experience, the trail to develop a rollout plan, they're all linked here. But a few of my favorites are this preview. So if you do have, say, a lot of custom apps that you're building, or if you are a really heavy CRM user and you're using every single piece of functionality available in CRM, however it is you're using Salesforce, you can click preview, and you're not even turning Lightning on. You're just clicking preview, and then you can click through your org with your custom fields or your custom objects, even your data, and look at what that would look like in Lightning. So it can give you a really good idea if you're wondering, I don't know what my custom object's going to look like, or I'm not sure if my related lists, what they will look like. Just click on that preview button and take a look. Also, as we scroll down a little bit, we've got all of the features that help make Lightning awesome. So Notes, I've been using Notes a ton.
New Notes are great.
I love New Notes, so it's replaced actually a lot of my third-party note applications.
You weren't using it.
I would never use.
You would never use.
I love using Lightning Notes. We also can turn on news. You can turn on social accounts and leads. But when Shawna was talking about how you as admins can control who uses Lightning Experience and when, that's all in this Migration Assistant as well. So we can determine what users want to have Lightning. So maybe we want to say, yes, Mike's going to have Lightning automatically the next time he logs in. We can make those changes here, or we can also do it with profiles and permission sets. Oh, and the one last thing, I wanted to say is also the evaluation. So if you want to get that PDF that evaluates your org, you just click on Evaluate, and you may have to grant access for this tool, but you click Evaluate and you just say, got it. And you will get an email in your inbox very shortly with a
full
nice
report.
PDF full report on your readiness for Lightning. So we've talked a lot about resources, and can't say enough times, go to Trailhead. This is such a great place to get comfortable, to learn. There's also a Lightning Success community group called Migrating to Lightning Experience. It's a great place to ask questions. It's a great place to hear about how people have been using Lightning. And also there's additional resources in all of the Trailhead trails. So as always, when you're looking at a Trailhead trail, on the right panel, there's always resources and links as well. So please join our webinar group for Q&A, and we're going to go ahead and take some questions now.
So hierarchies for accounts, we are working on that. While we're working on it, we actually have a partner who has a component on the App Exchange. So you can go ahead and get that hierarchy component for accounts starting, I think, next month. And then we will have our own hierarchy component that we're using for all kinds of things, accounts, forecasting, products and price books, through probably next summer.
So we have a question, how did we get the tabs to show up at the top rather than the left-hand side? So Shawna mentioned our new navigation, and or the Lightning navigation, the enhanced navigation, and that is what Lightning navigation will be looking like after winter.
Absolutely. So this is a new thing for us. We're actually going to push the new navigation in the winter release, and every org will automatically, who's using Lightning, will automatically have the new navigation. If you did any customization of the navigation sets, your users who are assigned those sets, that will be their default app when they log in. So it should be a seamless experience. I think if you have users who've used Salesforce before, that navigation bar across the top will feel very familiar. We have been doing a lot of communication to admins, so if you are using Lightning today, we've gone ahead and notified you a number of times that that's coming. So we're really excited about it. And like I said, everyone on day one of getting the winter release will have that new navigation.
And those of you that are interested in that, it is actually the refresh period for the next month until September 2nd, I believe, for sandboxes to be on pre-release. So
right.
That is, we've shared that, I believe, on Salesforce.com, and definitely follow Salesforce Admins for updates when we, about when to refresh and all of that. But definitely to get on winter. It's a good time to refresh your sandbox, to be in that release window, to have early access to the Winter 17 features we mentioned.
Why migrate to Lightning? That is a fantastic question. So there's a number of reasons. I mean, Lightning is the future of Salesforce, and you're going to see us doing more and more innovation, and that innovation is going to come to Lightning. We're not end-of-lifing Salesforce Classic. We're still going to support it, of course. There's no timeline there, but there's some really great new stuff that the Lightning UI allows us to do that we can't do in Classic. So really cool future stuff is coming in Lightning. And then the second part is this idea of this extensible UI that just we could never have done in Classic, right? We were wedded to Visualforce as a way of customizing that UI, and components give us and our customers this amazing power to build really killer interfaces without very much code. And it's a spectrum, right? You can do some great stuff with no code. There's a little bit of some great stuff with low code, and you can go all in, but really the amount you can do now without code is, it's an order of magnitude bigger than anything we could have ever done in Classic. So you'll see a whole bunch of kind of only in Lightning features, really great UI development experience, and the future of where we're going. Yes, you can preview Lightning without having my domain enabled. Sorry, I should have asked the question. A bunch of questions about my domain. Important part of moving to Lightning, especially if you want to use custom components from the App Exchange. So my domains keeps you in a single domain, so we can do a lot of great security features there. But you can absolutely preview Lightning, and you can use Lightning without enabling my domains. It's just those custom components that require you to enable that.
So we had a couple of questions just around kind of the being able to preview and being able to evaluate. All of that can be found in Classic Setup Lightning Experience. So if you just go to Classic Setup in the top left, there's a Lightning Experience button, and that's where all of those resources and links are available. So we have a question around scheduling reports and dashboards in Lightning, and that actually is on the roadmap for reports and dashboards, to be able to schedule them in Lightning. So it's
next year.
Yeah, it's not in this release. We can't give a definitive date, but it's definitely on the roadmap, and it's a priority to be delivered.
So customized page layouts based on profile and record type in Lightning, that is coming in the spring release, so not the winter release, but that is targeted to the spring release. Safe harbor, forward-looking. That is one of the most forward-looking statements I will make today, but that is absolutely the next thing that the Lightning App Builder team is working on, because we can do that today with Home, and we want to bring that to record pages immediately.
Okay, so I think we're going to have to wrap it up because we are at time. We definitely do see the questions, and we'll be working through the rest of the questions as well after this webinar wraps. But we want to thank you so much, Shawna, for being here today, and thank you, awesome admins.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for everyone showing up.
So everyone, have a great day, and thanks again for joining.